Hi, Vince here again to show some love to the Linux terminal. It really is a wonderful tool that you shouldn't be afraid to use, even if you are a new user. You can impress your friends with your geeky prowess. If you learn to do something in terminal in one particular distro, chances are you will be able to do the same in another, no matter which distro it is. Today, I want to show you a very quick and easy way to verify checksums, or hashes, when you download files. This is particularly applicable when you download an ISO image of a new distro you want to try, or anytime you download a file and it's critical that the file you end up saving on your disk matches exactly the source file that is stored on the server wherever you got it from. There's a good explanation of what checksums are on this website, which I'll link in the notes below. Just excuse the fact that it shows a Windows system, but indeed verifying checksums is equally as important and applicable across all operating systems. So why is this important to do? Firstly, particularly if it's a large file like an operating system ISO that takes a fair amount of time to download, you may occasionally run into an error or corruption in the download. Those of you who are old enough to remember dial-up internet or even the early days of DSL will know what I'm talking about when I say that the longer it takes for something to download, the more likely it can get corrupted. Granted, these days things are fairly reliable and this problem only happens rarely, but it can still happen, especially if you have an unreliable internet connection. So if you have problems with installing a new OS or something weird is happening in the process, then this may be the reason why, and it's worth going back and verifying the checksum of the original ISO file that you downloaded. Believe me, this has caught out even the most experienced of Linux users. Secondly, and probably a more important reason for verifying the checksum of your ISO, is that of security. There have been instances where a malicious actor has managed to make changes to files stored on a web server, or even replace the file altogether. Even if you click the download link from what is or appears to be a legitimate website, you may still end up downloading a file with malicious code. What the checksum allows you to do is compare the file against the known good state of that file, because even a small change to a previously verified file will likely alter the checksum completely. Now this, of course, is not completely foolproof. For example, if a malicious actor changes a file on a web server and then also has access to where the checksum is published, then they can also then subsequently change this checksum to match whichever malicious file they've uploaded to the server. Nonetheless, it is generally considered good practice to verify a checksum, particularly of something critical like an OS ISO file once you've downloaded it, prior to trying to using or installing it. So how do we verify checksums easily and quickly, particularly in terminal, which is the point of this video series? Firstly, understand that there are various forms of checksums, the most common being MD5, SHA1 and SHA256. There are others, but these are the most common ones that you'll find. Whilst these checksums are different and the security between them is different, the process of checking them is very similar in terminal. Let's demonstrate how we can do this with a Kubuntu ISO that I had earlier downloaded, which I put in my downloads folder. Now the first thing we need to do is bring up a terminal and point it to the directory that we downloaded the file into. in my case it was in CD downloads. And we can check we're in the right directory by doing an ls command, and there's the file. Alternatively, it's also quick to locate your file in the file manager of your choice. Right click on an empty space and select Open Terminal here, or an equivalent command option depending on your file manager. ls, and that is the folder that we need to be in. Next, we need to go and find the checksum for the file we downloaded. For example, if we go back to the Kubuntu download page, usually the checksum will be located somewhere near the download link you clicked. Look for something like SHA256, MD5, or SHA1, like we have here, and also a series of jumbled up letters or numbers such as this. This string of jumbled characters is the checksum that you will need to verify against your downloaded ISO file. So, returning to your terminal, you will need your machine to calculate the checksum for this downloaded file. The command for calculating a checksum depends on the type that you're using, but it's pretty easy to figure out. For example, for SHA256 checksums, you use SHA256 sum, or for MD5 sums you use MD5 sum. Lastly, for SH1 sums, you guessed it, SH1 sum. So, to calculate the SHA256 sum for this file, as we can see here, the Kubuntu 1910 desktop file, which is what I've got here, we type SHA256 sum and Kubuntu, and if you know that that's going to be a unique file name, you can press tab after typing in a few letters and your terminal should autocomplete your file name. Press enter and we wait a few seconds while the computer does its thing. There you are. That is the checksum or hash that your computer's calculated. Now, you can sit here and compare each of the characters that your computer calculated to what's published on the website that you downloaded the file from. However, I have a far better and quicker method of doing this for you. So we begin again with the command that we just used, but instead of asking it to simply just display the output of this command, we can ask it to search for a particular string of this output that matches by using the grep command. To do this, we use this same command, but at the end of it, we do a pipe symbol, which is usually located above your backslash key. So it's shift backslash. What the pipe does is it allows us to use the output of one command and use that in another command, which in this case is grep. But before we do anything else, we need to go back to the website, grab the relevant checksum, and in this case it's Kubuntu 1910 and the SHA256 checksum, copy that, and at the end of this command we can paste it. You can either right click and click paste, or in terminal it's Control Shift V to paste. Press enter. Again, wait a few seconds and allow your computer to calculate the checksum. There. Once it's done, this command will only show an output if the checksum it calculated exactly matches the checksum that you copied and pasted into the grep command at the end here. If there are any differences whatsoever, it will not match in the grep command and there will be no output. For example, if we try to issue the exact same command again, but this time we intentionally give it a different checksum to match it against in the grep command. So if I go back here and change one of the characters, so this is 0 into a P, and we try to calculate it again, press enter, watch what happens. There you go. See that? The command didn't output any result. Okay? This means that it couldn't match what it calculated here with what you gave it here. Isn't that neat? So remember, it will only show you an output if what it matches is correct. We can do another example, this time using the MD5 checksum. The process is essentially the same. We come here, we grab the MD5 sum, this long string of characters, we copy it, come back here to our terminal. This time we use the MD5 sum command for the Kubuntu file that I've got. We pipe it into grep and we paste the checksum that we copied from the website. Press enter. There we are. It showed an output, which means it managed to match what we gave it in grep from the website to what it calculated from this command. Simple, right? And very quick and easy to do. Now you don't have any excuses for not verifying the checksums of your Linux ISOs and other files you download whilst feeling totally geeky doing it. Before I go, I will leave you with just one other tidbit, and that is, for those of you who really prefer to use a GUI application, there is this one called gtkhash. It just so happens to be included in MX Linux out of the box, which is what I'm running here. And it looks something like this. You generally use this in the same way. You can copy and paste a checksum and put it into here. Select the file that you want to do. Press hash, and it'll calculate these various checksums. Once it's done, we'll be able to see that there's a tick next to the MD5 sum, and this we know is the MD5 sum that we used from the website. The downside with this application is that it may not be included in all distros, so you may need to go and find and install it for your particular distro. Personally though, I find it much quicker and simpler to pull up a terminal and be able to verify an ISO in one line without needing to go and find any other application. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, suggestions or comments, please leave them below. Now go forth with the knowledge that whenever you're distro hopping next, you can do so safely when you download those ISOs to try. Bye.